Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be talking about the gate 28, which is typically called struggle. Okay, so we've got the sun in gate 28. It started on October 25th. It goes until October 30th. And we've also got the earth in gate 27, which is responsibility. So the 28 comes off the spleen, down the bottom of the spleen here, and the 27 comes off the left side of the sacral. And so again, it's a combination where you've got struggle and responsibility, right? Coming, usually they'll be in the incarnation cross for anybody whose birthday is this week. And they would always, they'd be like up here. If you had a birthday this week, your chart would look something like this, with the 28 and the 27 right up at the top, sun and the earth. And so the 28 is usually about struggle and adventure and um, finding your purpose. And it's also on the fear side, it's the fear of the life, that life has no purpose, that there's no meaning to life, or that we're just here to die, and there's no purpose to living fully, because of that fear of death and the fear of purposelessness, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that can get a little discouraging, I understand, but basically it's meant for us to work through, right? It's meant for us to have those fears and then to work through them. So this week, the transits look something like this all week. There is no definition in any of the centers, so you shouldn't be feeling too much unless there's something here that hooks up with one of your gates that gives you definition. And meanwhile, the retrograde planets are still Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and the nodes happen to be direct this week. So we've got the sun in gate 28, the earth in gate 27. That gate 28, as I said, is called struggle. It's also the preponderance of the great, or the game player in the original I Ching. And it does refer to the transitoriness of power and influence. So there's nothing wrong with this gate, but the people who have it are usually those who will struggle. And what I find with my clients is that usually it's the first, and what most people in human design find is just it's the first 40 years that are kind of setting the mold for the rest of your life, right? So the first 40 years of your life may in fact include some struggles, some drama, some trauma, some things going on in your life that you kind of wish weren't there, but they're always there for lessons, right? They're always there to bring you up to a higher plateau, and to bring you to that place of power and influence, where you can actually work through those things and get to the point where they've actually become your strengths, and then you can kind of move on from there. In the incarnation crosses this week, we've got the crosses of the unexpected, risks, and alignment. And in quantum human design, it's called the gate of adventure or challenge. And then on the other side, we've got in the earth, the gate 27, which is responsibility. It's literally about nurturing and caring and helping children grow to adulthood, so that there's always a way for them to just not only survive, but to thrive, right? That they're being educated, that they're being, taken care of, that they're eating nutritious foods, that they're reading things that are good for them, and being taken care of, basically. So it's called nourishment or caring in the original I Ching, and it's the enhancement of the quality and substance of all activities through caring. So it's any kind of caring. It's not just for children, of course, it's for your parents or your siblings or your community, or people who need that kind of caring. We call it responsibility because people with this gate in their chart usually are very responsible souls. They're people who will help. They will pitch in when when it's needed, and sometimes when it's not needed. In quantum human design, it's called accountability. And I hadn't been doing this for a while, but I've really always found a sense of just deepness or deeper meaning with the Richard Rudd information from the Gene Keys. And so in the Gene Key 28, the shadow is purposelessness for 28. The gift is totality, and the CD is immortality. On the shadow side, the repressive side of the shadow or the fearful side can seem hollow. Can be like a hollow shell of a person, somebody who's acting as if they have purpose, or as if they're happy and fulfilled, but they're not really. And on the reactive side, it's kind of a gambler, a risk taker. This would be the person who's more angry about the shadow side. And so in this purposelessness, it's well, at least in the graphic, let's talk about the totality first. So to be total is to be alive in every sense, because if you're total, you feel like you have a purpose. You feel fulfilled. You feel like you've got friends and family and support networks, and a way to be in the world that is actually um, enlivening, right? Something that's bringing you to life, as opposed to the fear of death or the fear that life has no purpose. That's the totality that Richard's talking about. And so this purposelessness, or the shadow side, is when we have this fear of death. So in first world countries, we have very little fear, hopefully very little fear of starvation, right? And so since we don't have that fear of starvation or survival, or living to see the next day, our fear shifts. And he says it shifts to the fear of purposelessness, because now, instead of being afraid to die, people are afraid to live. And so I just find that very heartening and very deep. Hopefully hopefully you feel, I feel like I have a purpose. It's changed over time, and I found that to be interesting. But the purpose is there if you're, I think, ready to hear it or ready to see it. And once you have a purpose, you can be more alive. You can be more enlivened, and taking the steps that you need to take to have the purpose. On the shadow side of the 27, it's selfishness. And that selfishness, married with this purposelessness, sometimes looks like people not having a purpose, but being afraid to be or being afraid to be seen as selfish, right? And so they don't take the actions that they might need to take. Meanwhile, if they were to do what they thought was selfish, say like as somebody going back to work after a while, right? Somebody who's raised their kids, or had a death in the family or something like that, and moved on from the caregiver role, right, to having their own, and trying to make way for their own dreams. They might seem to be, or might feel like they're being selfish, but really that selfishness is what's needed to to take themselves seriously, to do what they need to do, and to find the purpose in their lives, so that they can feel more enlivened, more empowered, more encouraged to do what they really feel like they're here to do. And that when you find that purpose, it can be very alive in every sense. So hoping that you either know or find your purpose, and have a great week, and I will see you soon. Take care.